CEO abandoned his pregnant black fiancée and panicked. The day she returned with identical twins and his former billionaire boss. "It has to stay this way, Alexandria. You understand that, don't you?" Jonathan Blackwell's fingers traced her bare shoulder as they lay in the luxury suite of the Liberty Hotel. Outside the window, Boston's skyline glittered against the night sky. Alexandria Morales gazed at the ceiling, trying to ignore the familiar ache in her chest. "And if I said it doesn't? If I wanted more?" Jonathan sat up, the Egyptian cotton sheets pooling around his waist. His laugh was soft but edged with warning. "We've had this conversation. You know my family's expectations." The affair between Alexandria, a 28-year-old marketing strategist from Dorchester, and Jonathan, heir to the Blackwell Financial Group, had stretched across 18 months of stolen moments. Luxury hotel rooms, private dining clubs, back seats of town cars with privacy screens raised, always hidden, always secret. "I should go," Alexandria said, sliding from the bed. "Early meeting tomorrow." Jonathan watched her dress, admiring but distant. "I'll have the car take you home." "No need. I'll grab a rideshare." She never let him know exactly where in Dorchester she lived. It was her only power, keeping one small part of herself private. "Suit yourself." He was already checking emails on his phone. "I'll text you next week. The Mandarin Oriental, perhaps." Alexandria nodded, applied her lipstick without looking in the mirror, and left without a goodbye kiss. It was their routine. 3 weeks later, Alexandria stared at the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. She took 4 more tests over the next 2 days, all positive. "What am I going to do, Maria?" Alexandria paced her small apartment kitchen while her best friend watched with worried eyes. "You have options," Maria said carefully. "Whatever you decide, I'm here." "I need to tell him first. He should know." Maria frowned. "Are you sure that's wise? Rich men like him—" "He's not like that," Alexandria interrupted, though doubt clouded her voice. "He talks about honor and legacy all the time." After 3 ignored calls, Jonathan finally responded to her text requesting an urgent meeting. His message was brief. "Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, my place." The following evening, Alexandria stood before the doorman at Jonathan's luxury Back Bay building, her heart pounding. "Mr. Blackwell is expecting me. Alexandria Morales." The ride up to the penthouse felt endless. She rehearsed her words carefully, touching her still flat stomach through her dress. Jonathan opened the door himself, surprising her. He wore a tailored suit despite the late hour. "You look like you're heading out," she said. "Board dinner at 9. He didn't invite her in, instead walking away and expecting her to follow. "Make this quick, Alexandria. I'm already running late." His penthouse stunned her into momentary silence. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the Charles River, furniture that probably cost more than her yearly salary. "Drink?" he offered, pouring himself scotch without waiting for her answer. "No, thank you." Alexandria took a deep breath. "Jonathan, I'm pregnant." The crystal tumbler paused halfway to his lips. His eyes narrowed, assessing her as if she were a problematic investment report. "You're certain?" 5 tests, and I saw a doctor yesterday. It's confirmed." Jonathan placed his drink on the mahogany desk that dominated his home office. "I see. There's more." Alexandria's voice trembled slightly. "It's twins." Something flashed across his face, panic perhaps, before his features hardened into a mask she'd never seen before. "You were meant to be an entertaining chapter, Alexandria," he said coldly. "Not a complication in my legacy." The words hit her like physical blows. "Complication? These are your children we're talking about." Jonathan opened a drawer, removed his checkbook, and began writing. "Let's be practical. My engagement to Catherine Pierce will be announced next month. The timing of this is inconvenient." "Your engagement?" Alexandria felt the room tilt. "All this time, You were planning to marry someone else? It's been arranged for years. Catherine's family and mine have mutual interests. He tore the check from the book and slid it across the desk. This should be sufficient to eliminate the inconvenience. Alexandria stared at the check, the amount making her stomach turn. You think I came here for money? To be paid off? What did you expect, Alexandria? That I'd throw away generations of family planning for a fling with a girl from Dorchester? His voice was almost curious, as if he genuinely couldn't understand her thinking. A fling? Her voice cracked. 18 months, Jonathan. I loved you. His glacial eyes showed nothing. That was your choice. Alexandria looked at the man before her, handsome, powerful, empty, the father of her unborn children. Her hands instinctively moved to her stomach. Keep your money, she said quietly. I don't want anything from you. Don't be foolish. Take it. Jonathan checked his watch. I have to leave for my dinner. Let yourself out. Alexandria left the check on his desk and walked out, tears blurring her vision as she made her way down in the elevator. Outside, Boston's spring evening felt suddenly cold. She wrapped her arms around herself, protecting the lives growing inside her. She didn't notice the black town car idling nearby, or Jonathan watching from his window above as she walked toward the nearest T-station. 3 days later, Alexandria arrived at her marketing firm to find her access card deactivated. Her boss called her into his office, eyes not quite meeting hers. I'm sorry, Alexandria. We're letting you go. Restructuring. She knew better. Jonathan's influence reached farther than she'd imagined. That evening, she returned to her apartment to find her landlord waiting with an eviction notice. Building regulations have been revised, he explained awkwardly. Nothing personal. Within 72 hours, Alexandria Morales, once rising marketing star, once Jonathan Blackwell's secret, found herself with no job, no home, and twins growing in her womb. As she sat on a bench in South Station that night, her last $20 in her pocket, she placed her hand on her belly and whispered a fierce promise. We'll be okay, and someday we'll take back everything that should have been ours. She didn't know yet how she would survive tomorrow, let alone build a future for her children. But the determination burning inside her was stronger than any fear. Alexandria pulled her thin jacket tighter as the night grew colder in South Station. The January wind found its way through the building's doors each time they opened, sending shivers through her body. She had never imagined herself homeless, yet here she was, the first night of many without a place to call home. Station's closing in 20 minutes, folks, a security guard announced, walking through the main hall. Can't stay overnight. Alexandria's stomach dropped. She hadn't considered this. Where would she go? The few shelters she'd called earlier were full. Boston winters showed no mercy to those without shelter. Excuse me, she approached the guard, trying to keep her voice steady. Are there any places nearby where I could stay? I'm just, temporarily without housing. The guard's face softened slightly. He'd seen this before. Pine Street Inn might have emergency beds. It's about 15 blocks from here. He paused. Or the women's shelter on Southampton Street. Thank you, Alexandria said, gathering her 2 bags, all she had managed to pack before being locked out of her apartment. Outside, the temperature had dropped below freezing. Each step on the icy sidewalk was treacherous as Alexandria made her way toward Pine Street Inn. Her phone battery showed 5%, not enough to use the map function for long. She had to ask directions twice from late-night convenience store workers. When she finally arrived, the intake worker looked up from her desk with tired eyes. We're technically at capacity, the woman said. But with these temperatures... She glanced at Alexandria's shivering form. We can set up a cot in the common area. Just for tonight. Thank you, Alexandria whispered, relief washing over her. I won't need it for long. I have interviews lined up. The woman had heard this before. She handed Alexandria a form. Fill this out. Breakfast is at 6:30. You'll need to leave by 8 in the morning. The common room held 12 other women on cots. Alexandria lay awake most of the night, listening to unfamiliar sounds, snoring, crying, occasional arguments. Morning sickness hit her around 4 in the morning, sending her rushing to the communal bathroom. First time? A woman in her 50s stood at the sink washing her face. Alexandria nodded, wiping her mouth. "I've been seeing you every morning this week," the woman said. "You might want to get that checked. The health van comes on Thursdays." "It's just stress," Alexandria replied, though she knew better. The positive pregnancy tests from weeks ago hadn't lied. For the next 7 days, Alexandria developed a routine. Wake at 6, eat whatever the shelter provided, leave by 8 with resume copies in hand, apply for jobs at every business that would take her application, use public library computers to send emails, wash in restrooms at Faneuil Hall Marketplace, return to line up at Pine Street Inn by 4 in the afternoon, hoping for a bed. On day 8, Alexandria sat in a coffee shop, nursing the cheapest item on the menu to justify occupying a table. Her phone showed 3 new rejection emails from marketing firms. Jobs that should have welcomed her experience were suddenly pursuing other candidates. Alexandria Morales? A man in a business suit approached her table. Hope fluttered in her chest. "Yes?" "David Reynolds, Boston Prime Marketing." He sat without asking. "I was intrigued by your resume." "Thank you for meeting me," Alexandria said, straightening her wrinkled blouse. "I have extensive experience in—" "Let's be direct," he interrupted. "I got a call yesterday from someone at Blackwell Financial. They suggested I should avoid hiring you." The hope died instantly. "What? I don't know what you did to upset the Blackwells, but in this town, when they blacklist someone—" He stood up. "I'm sorry. I actually came to warn you. Every marketing firm in Boston has received similar calls." Alexandria watched him leave, her hands trembling around her paper cup. Jonathan's reach was even greater than she'd imagined. Not content with taking her job and home, he was ensuring she couldn't rebuild. That evening, Alexandria couldn't face returning to the shelter. Instead, she found herself walking along the Charles River, watching boats pass by as twilight settled over the city. "Miss, are you okay?" A park police officer approached, eyeing her bags. "Yes, officer. Just enjoying the view. Park closes at sunset. You can't camp here." "I wasn't planning to," she lied. "I'm leaving now." 2 weeks into homelessness, Alexandria's savings were nearly gone. The morning sickness had worsened, and her clothes hung looser despite the pregnancy. The shelter's nurse noticed. "You need prenatal care," she said firmly after checking Alexandria's blood pressure. "Our health van has an ultrasound technician today. No cost." Later that afternoon, Alexandria lay on a narrow examination table in the medical van parked behind Pine Street Inn. The technician moved the wand over her stomach. "There's your baby," she said, pointing to the screen. She moved the wand slightly. "And there's your other baby." "Other baby?" Alexandria's voice came out as a whisper. "Twins, see? 2 separate heartbeats." Tears filled Alexandria's eyes as she stared at the fuzzy images. 2 lives depending on her, 2 reasons to fight harder. That night, under the harsh fluorescent lights of the shelter bathroom, Alexandria stared at her reflection, dark circles under her eyes, hollow cheeks. But there was something else, a fierce determination replacing the shock and hurt. "There has to be a way," she said to her reflection. The next morning, Alexandria walked through Chinatown, dropping her resume at every business with a "Help Wanted" sign. Most barely glanced at her credentials before declining. Outside a small marketing agency with faded lettering, Chen Digital Solutions, Alexandria paused. The door was propped open despite the cold, revealing a cramped office with outdated computers. "Can I help you?" A woman in her 40s appeared in the doorway. "I'm looking for work," Alexandria said, extending her resume. I have marketing experience. The woman scanned the paper, her eyebrows rising. Boston University marketing program? You worked at Madison Square? Yes, until recently. I'm Diana Chen. This is my agency. She gestured to the modest space. Why would someone with your credentials want to work here? Alexandria considered lying, then decided on honesty. Because no one else in Boston will hire me. Diana studied her for a long moment. I can't pay much, part-time only. I'll take it. Come back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. As Alexandria walked away, she placed her hand on her stomach. Did you hear that? We have a chance. For the first time in weeks, hope felt possible again. She didn't notice the black town car parked across the street, or the man inside taking her picture. The next morning, Alexandria arrived at Chen Digital Solutions 15 minutes early. The small Chinatown office looked even more cramped in daylight. 5 desks crowded together, outdated computers humming, and faded posters of old marketing campaigns on the walls. Diana Chen looked up from her computer. You showed up. Good. Half the people I hire never come back after they see this place in the daytime. I need this job, Alexandria said simply, setting down her bag. Where do I start? Diana pointed to a desk in the corner. That computer works most days. Password is taped underneath the keyboard. We have a client meeting at 11 o'clock. Local restaurant chain about to go bankrupt. They need a miracle, and we need the money. Alexandria nodded and got to work. After 2 hours reviewing the restaurant's previous marketing attempts, she saw the problem immediately. Their targeting was completely wrong. During the client meeting, Alexandria sat quietly taking notes while Diana tried to reassure the nervous restaurant owner. Mr. Parker, Chen Digital Solutions can help increase your customer base, Diana said, though her voice lacked conviction. 3 months, Mr. Parker replied, running his hand through thinning hair. That's how long before I close all 6 locations. I've tried everything. When Diana glanced helplessly at her notes, Alexandria spoke up. Your campaigns are targeting the wrong people, she said. Everyone turned to look at her. Alexandria is our new strategy specialist, Diana said quickly. The problem isn't your food or service, Alexandria continued. It's that your marketing focuses on lunch crowds when your strongest offerings are breakfast items. Your online presence targets 20-somethings when your most loyal customers are 30 to 45. Mr. Parker leaned forward. Go on. After the meeting, Diana closed the office door. Where did that come from? That targeting strategy was brilliant. Alexandria shrugged. It was obvious from the data. Nothing about marketing is obvious. That's why most agencies fail. Diana studied her. Why were you really fired from Madison Square? Alexandria hesitated. It's complicated. I'm giving you a chance. Give me honesty in return. So Alexandria told her everything. Jonathan, the pregnancy, the blacklisting. When she finished, Diana was silent for a long moment. Those Blackwell men are all the same. I worked with Jonathan's father years ago. Same entitlement. You're not worried about hiring me? Diana laughed. Look around. Do I seem like someone with powerful connections to lose? Besides, I need someone with your talent. Over the next 2 months, Alexandria transformed the agency's approach. The algorithm she developed for targeting specific customer demographics saved not only Parker's restaurant chain, but brought in 3 new clients. How are you feeling? Diana asked one afternoon, eyeing Alexandria's growing belly. Tired. The shelter isn't ideal for sleeping. Diana frowned. My cousin owns apartment buildings in Jamaica Plain. Nothing fancy, but better than a shelter. I'll make a call. 2 weeks later, Alexandria moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment. The building was old, the elevator often broken, but it was clean and safe. I can't thank you enough, Alexandria told Diana as they carried her few belongings up 3 flights of stairs. Don't thank me yet. Rent's due on the 1st of every month. My cousin doesn't give charity, just fair deals. As her pregnancy progressed, Alexandria worked longer hours, determined to prove her value. Late one night, Diana found her still at the office, working on a new client presentation. "You should rest," Diana said, setting down a cup of tea. "I can't afford to." Alexandria rubbed her lower back. "These babies need security." Diana sat across from her. "I've been thinking. This agency has struggled for years, but since you came, we've grown. I want to offer you a partnership, 25% stake to start." Alexandria's hand froze mid-type. "Why?" "Because you have what I never did. Vision. I know how to keep clients happy, but you know how to make them successful. Together, we could build something significant. I don't have money to invest. Your algorithm is investment enough." Diana slid a folder across the desk. "I've already drawn up the papers. Think about it." Alexandria didn't need to think. She signed that night. 3 months later, on a rainy April evening, Alexandria went into labor 2 weeks early. Diana drove her to Massachusetts General Hospital, cursing Boston traffic the entire way. "Breathe through it," Diana coached as another contraction hit. 16 hours later, Alexandria held her twins for the first time. Sophia, born 7 minutes before her brother Sebastian, had a tuft of dark hair and alert eyes. Sebastian arrived with a powerful cry that made the nurses smile. "They're perfect," Diana whispered, standing beside the hospital bed. Alexandria studied their tiny faces, searching for traces of Jonathan. They had her nose and mouth, but their eyes, even as newborns, hinted at the distinctive Blackwell green. "They're mine," Alexandria said firmly. "Only mine." 1 week later, Alexandria brought the twins home to her Jamaica Plain apartment. Diana had organized a network of Chinese grandmothers from the neighborhood to help with childcare, allowing Alexandria to return to work part-time after just 3 weeks. Each night, after feeding the twins and settling them in their second-hand cribs, Alexandria worked on her laptop, crafting what would become the business plan for Ascendant Media Group. "This is too ambitious," Diana said one evening, reviewing Alexandria's plans. "International offices? Fortune 500 clients?" "Think bigger," Alexandria replied, balancing Sebastian on her knee while typing one-handed. "The algorithm I developed for Parker's restaurants? It can be scaled, applied to any industry. We're a 5-person agency in a rundown office. For now." Alexandria looked up. "What if we focused exclusively on digital transformation? Most agencies try to do everything. We could specialize in helping traditional businesses navigate the digital landscape." On the nights when the twins were particularly fussy, Alexandria would walk them around the small apartment, pointing out the city lights visible from her window. "See that tall building with the lights?" she whispered to Sophia one night. "That's where your father works. But someday, you'll have a building twice as tall." As the twins reached 6 months old, the agency, now rebranded as Chen Morales Digital, landed its biggest client yet, a regional healthcare provider needing to modernize its patient outreach. "They only signed because of your targeting strategy," Diana admitted after the meeting. "We need to expand, hire more people." Alexandria bounced Sebastian on her hip while reviewing the contract. "Not yet. First, we deliver results so impressive they tell everyone they know." That night, after putting the twins to bed, Alexandria opened her laptop to finalize her vision for what Chen Morales Digital would become. On the screen, she typed a new name, Ascendant Media Group. "They'll know your worth," she whispered to her sleeping children, "even if he never did." Outside, Boston's skyline glittered against the night sky, the Blackwell Financial Headquarters standing tall among the buildings. Alexandria no longer felt the ache she once had when seeing it. Now she felt something else: determination. 3 years passed in a blur of work, growth, and motherhood. Alexandria's small desk in the corner of Chen Morales Digital had expanded to a full floor in a converted warehouse in Boston's Seaport District. The cramped Chinatown office was now just a memory as Ascendant Media Group took shape. "I still can't believe how fast we've grown," Diana said, looking around their new space filled with 20 employees. 3 years ago, it was just us and that broken coffee machine. Alexandria smiled, watching two designers argue over a campaign layout. We're just getting started. The twins, now 3 years old, had their own corner in Alexandria's office with educational toys and tiny desks. Sophia sat on the floor, focused intensely on a puzzle meant for children twice her age. Sebastian flipped through a picture book, naming each animal in both English and Spanish. Ms. Morales, the Parker Restaurant Group is on line 1, Alexandria's assistant called. They want to increase their contract again. Alexandria took the call, watching her children through the glass wall of her office. This was why she worked 16-hour days. This was why she never complained about exhaustion. That evening, as Alexandria prepared to take the twins home, Diana stopped her at the elevator. "I've been approached by Horizon Media," Diana said quietly. "They're offering $7 million for Ascendant." Alexandria froze. "You want to sell?" "I'm 56, Alexandria. This is more money than I ever imagined having." "We're worth 3 times that amount," Alexandria replied. "Our client list has tripled. Our methods are revolutionizing the industry." Diana sighed. "Think about it at least." "This is life-changing money." Alexandria shook her head. "Not for what I have planned." 2 weeks later, Sebastian developed a cough that quickly worsened. By midnight, his breathing became labored, and Alexandria rushed him to Massachusetts General Hospital's emergency room. "Pneumonia," the doctor confirmed after examining the small boy. "We need to admit him immediately." For 3 days, Alexandria barely left Sebastian's hospital room. She worked from a chair beside his bed, laptop balanced on her knees, while Sophia stayed with Diana. On the morning of the 4th day, Alexandria's phone rang. It was her assistant. "The Benson Pharmaceuticals meeting is in 2 hours. Should I reschedule again?" Alexandria looked at Sebastian, finally sleeping peacefully. His oxygen levels improved. This meeting could be Ascendant's biggest client yet, a national pharmaceutical company wanting to revamp their entire digital presence. "No," Alexandria decided. "Tell them I'll conduct the meeting from here." From the hospital, set up a video conference. Send the presentation to my email. 2 hours later, Alexandria positioned her laptop on Sebastian's hospital tray. She had changed into the spare blouse she kept in her office emergency bag, applied minimal makeup, and pulled her hair back. "Are you Mrs. Blackwell?" a nurse asked, entering with medication. Alexandria stiffened. "Number Morales. Alexandria Morales." "I'm sorry," the nurse said, checking Sebastian's chart. "It's just, your son has such distinctive eyes. They reminded me of the Blackwell family. My sister worked for them years ago." Alexandria said nothing, but her hands trembled slightly as she prepared for the call. When the video conference began, Alexandria presented her strategy with calm professionalism, never revealing she was sitting beside her sick child's hospital bed. "Your targeting approach is unlike anything we've seen," said Thomas Benson, the company's marketing director. "How soon can you implement?" "We can begin next week," Alexandria promised. After the call ended with a signed contract, the largest in Ascendant's history, Alexandria exhaled deeply. Sebastian stirred in his sleep. "We did it, little one," she whispered, stroking his forehead. "One more step forward." By the time Sebastian was released from the hospital 3 days later, Alexandria had already hired 5 new employees to handle the Benson Pharmaceuticals account. As summer arrived, the twins continued to display remarkable abilities. Sophia could complete complex puzzles in minutes, her tiny fingers arranging pieces with impressive precision. Sebastian, fully recovered from his illness, had added Mandarin phrases to his vocabulary thanks to Auntie Diana. "Siexia," Sebastian said perfectly one afternoon when Diana brought him a cookie. "His pronunciation is better than mine," Diana laughed. "These children are extraordinary, Alexandria." On a warm Sunday, Alexandria took the twins to Christopher Columbus Park. While they played on the swings, she sat on a bench facing the harbor. Across the water stood the financial district, the Blackwell Financial Headquarters clearly visible among the skyscrapers. "Higher, Mama!" Sophia called from the swing. Alexandria pushed her daughter, then her son, listening to their laughter. 3 years ago, she had been homeless, pregnant, and desperate. Now, she ran a thriving company valued at over $20 million. A man in an expensive suit approached the bench. "Alexandria Morales?" She tensed, instinctively moving closer to her children. "I'm Robert Carson from Mercury Ventures," he introduced himself. "I've been trying to reach you through your office." "We don't need venture capital," Alexandria replied coolly. "Actually, I'm here about expansion opportunities. My firm specializes in helping companies like yours enter international markets." Alexandria studied him. "What do you know about my company?" "I know that Ascendant Media Group has developed revolutionary targeting algorithms that have saved at least 7 businesses from bankruptcy. I know you've grown from 2 employees to 27 in 3 years, and I know you're just getting started." For the first time, Alexandria felt recognized for what she had built, not as Jonathan Blackwell's former secret, but as a business force in her own right. "I'm listening," she said. As Robert outlined potential European partnerships, Alexandria watched her children play. Sebastian was speaking to another little boy in confident Spanish, while Sophia had organized other children into a complex game of her own design. "Your children are remarkable," Robert observed, following her gaze. "Yes," Alexandria agreed. "They're going to have every opportunity I didn't." That night, after putting the twins to bed, Alexandria called Diana. "I met with Robert Carson today," she said. "I think it's time we discuss international expansion." Diana sighed. "You never stop, do you?" "Not until Ascendant is the most respected name in digital marketing," Alexandria replied, looking out her window at the city lights. "Not until my children can walk into any room in this city and be recognized for their own merit. Not until the Blackwell name was overshadowed by hers." Alexandria kept her promise about international expansion. 2 years later, Ascendant Media Group occupied 3 floors of a sleek tower in downtown Crossing, with a stunning view of Boston Common. 5 years had passed since Jonathan's rejection, transforming Alexandria from a desperate, pregnant woman to one of Boston's most promising business leaders. "The European acquisition papers arrived," Diana said, entering Alexandria's corner office with a thick folder. "Mayfair Digital will be officially ours once you sign." Alexandria took the folder, reviewing the documents carefully. The small London-based firm would give Ascendant its first international foothold. "Half price of what they were valued last year," Alexandria noted. "Their loss is our gain." "Speaking of gains," Diana placed a newspaper on the desk. "Your feature in the Boston Business Journal. Front page." Alexandria glanced at the article. "Rising Star: How Ascendant Media Group is Changing Digital Marketing." She allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before returning to the acquisition paperwork. That evening, Alexandria attended Massachusetts Innovation Nights, a monthly event where startups presented their ideas to potential investors. She no longer came seeking connections. People now approached her. Alexandria Morales, a silver-haired man, extended his hand. "Richard Donovan from Apex Ventures. I've been following your company's growth." "Mr. Donovan, your firm specializes in tech expansion, correct?" "Indeed. We've helped companies like yours scale globally. Would you join me for dinner next week? I'd like to discuss potential opportunities." Alexandria smiled politely. "My assistant will contact yours." By the end of the evening, Alexandria had collected 7 business cards from venture capitalists eager to invest in Ascendant's growth. She tucked them into her purse as her driver arrived to take her home. The twins, now 5 years old, were already asleep when Alexandria returned to her Beacon Hill brownstone. She had purchased the historic home 6 months earlier, a deliberate choice in Boston's most prestigious neighborhood, where Jonathan's family had lived for generations. Alexandria checked on her children, smiling at their peaceful faces. Tomorrow would be their entrance evaluation for Phillips Academy's junior program, an elite educational path that would give them advantages she never had. "Ms. Morales, Mrs. Garcia," the nanny whispered from the hallway. The children practiced their assessment materials all day. Sophia completed the advanced mathematics packet meant for 7-year-olds. Sebastian practiced his French with the language app. "Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. You can go home now." Alone in her study, Alexandria reviewed the Mayfair digital acquisition documents once more before signing. As she worked, she noticed a Boston magazine on her side table. The cover featured Jonathan Blackwell and Catherine Pierce at their wedding. Boston's power couple ties the knot. Alexandria flipped past it without a second glance. The next morning, Alexandria sat in Phillips Academy's waiting area while the twins completed their assessments. Nearby, other parents whispered about the famous Morales twins, the mathematical prodigy, and the linguistic genius. "Ms. Morales?" The Academy's director emerged with a broad smile. "We'd like to speak with you about your children." In the office, 2 evaluators joined the director. In 23 years of educational assessment, the mathematics evaluator began, "I've never seen a 5-year-old solve differential equations. Sophia has mathematical abilities that exceed many high school students." And Sebastian, the language specialist added, switched effortlessly between 4 languages during our conversation: English, Spanish, Mandarin, and French. His accent in each was nearly perfect. The director leaned forward. "We would be honored to have your children in our program, Ms. Morales. They would be the youngest students ever admitted." Alexandria nodded, unsurprised. "When do they start?" 1 week later, Alexandria sat in her office reviewing quarterly reports when her assistant interrupted. "Ms. Morales, the meeting with Apex Ventures is in 30 minutes. Also, this just arrived." She handed Alexandria a financial newspaper. The headline caught Alexandria's attention immediately. "Blackwell Financial loses major clients to innovative competitors." The article detailed how Jonathan's conservative approach was causing the company to lose market share. Alexandria set the paper aside as her phone rang. Alexandria Morales speaking. "Ms. Morales, this is Edward Chen from Boston Trust Bank. We're impressed with Ascendant's growth trajectory and would like to discuss potential investment opportunities. I'm meeting with Apex Ventures today, Mr. Chen. Perhaps next week?" After hanging up, Alexandria called Diana into her office. "We have banking interest now," Alexandria said. "The venture capital meetings are creating the competition we wanted." Diana shook her head in amazement. 5 years ago, we were working in that tiny Chinatown office. Now banks are calling us. This is just the beginning. Alexandria stood to prepare for her meeting. "Has the European office lease been finalized?" "Yes. Paris location secured. We start hiring next month." Later that afternoon, Alexandria met Richard Donovan at his firm's impressive offices overlooking Boston Harbor. "We're prepared to offer $50 million for a 20% stake in Ascendant Media Group," Richard said after their initial discussion. Alexandria kept her expression neutral despite her excitement. "That values my company at $250 million. We're worth more." "Your revenue doesn't justify a higher valuation." "My revenue doesn't account for the proprietary algorithms we've developed or our expansion potential." Alexandria stood. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Donovan." "Wait," he called as she reached the door. "What number did you have in mind?" Alexandria turned. $300 million valuation, 15% stake for $45 million. 3 days and 2 meetings later, Alexandria signed the deal with Apex Ventures. That evening, she took the twins to celebrate at their favorite ice cream shop in Harvard Square. "Mama, will we be rich forever?" Sophia asked, chocolate ice cream smeared across her face. "We'll be secure forever," Alexandria corrected gently. "But more importantly, you'll have opportunities." Sebastian looked up from his strawberry cone. "Like going to Paris to see the new office?" Alexandria smiled. "Exactly. We're going next month to help set up the European headquarters." As they walked home through Cambridge, Alexandria's phone buzzed with a news alert. Catherine Pierce Blackwell joins Boston Symphony Orchestra Board. The accompanying photo showed Jonathan and his wife at a charity event, his smile tight and formal. Alexandria put her phone away, focusing instead on her children skipping ahead of her on the sidewalk. Their futures were expanding daily, their brilliance already recognized by one of the most prestigious schools in the country. Tomorrow she would begin the next phase of her plan. Ascendant Media Group was no longer just a successful company, it was becoming a global force. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a strategy was forming that would bring her path directly back to Jonathan Blackwell's doorstep. The strategy Alexandria had been forming took shape faster than even she anticipated. 1 year later, Ascendant Media Group's headquarters occupied the top 5 floors of a gleaming tower overlooking Boston Harbor. The company's valuation had soared to $3.7 billion, with offices spanning 3 continents: North America, Europe, and Asia. Alexandria stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her corner office, watching boats cross the harbor. On her desk, acquisition papers awaited her signature. Ascendant's newest purchase would be officially complete by day's end. The board at Reynolds Communications never realized who was really buying them, Diana said, entering with 2 coffee cups. The shell company worked perfectly. Alexandria accepted the coffee. "And Reynolds holds what percentage of Blackwell's media subsidiary?" 15%, enough to access their financial reports and board meetings. Alexandria nodded. This marked the 5th Blackwell-connected company Ascendant had quietly acquired through various shell corporations over the past year. None were directly part of Blackwell Financial, but all were connected enough to give Alexandria insight and influence over Jonathan's business operations. "How was the twins' first week back at school?" Diana asked, changing the subject. "Sebastian's linguistics teacher wants to advance him 2 grades for language studies." Sophia corrected her mathematics professor on complex probability theory. Alexandria smiled proudly. "They're thriving." At 6 years old, the twins had become minor celebrities in Boston's elite educational circles. Their extraordinary abilities were frequently discussed at fundraisers and charity events, along with another notable feature: their striking resemblance to the Blackwell family. "The Children's Hospital benefit is tonight," Diana reminded her. "The twins are performing in the youth orchestra." "I wouldn't miss it," Alexandria replied. "The new Forbes issue is out today, by the way. My assistant has copies." Later that morning, Alexandria's executive team gathered in the conference room, each holding the latest Forbes magazine. Alexandria's image graced the cover under the headline, "The Ascendant: How Alexandria Morales Became One of America's Most Influential Business Leaders." "This is huge," said Michael, Ascendant's chief financial officer. "The profile mentions our 3-year growth rate of 600%. And quotes from 4 Fortune 100 CEOs praising our work," added Sarah, the head of global operations. "This visibility will open even more doors internationally." Alexandria accepted their congratulations but kept the meeting focused on business. "Let's discuss the Singapore office expansion. I want it operational by February." That afternoon, Alexandria received a call from her assistant. "Ms. Morales, there's a situation with the twins at school. The headmaster would like you to come immediately." Alexandria arrived at Phillips Academy 20 minutes later to find both children sitting outside the headmaster's office. Sebastian's usually perfect posture was slumped, while Sophia stared intently at the floor. "What happened?" Alexandria asked, kneeling before them. Sebastian spoke first. "Jeffrey Wilson said we were liars about not having a father. He said everyone has a father, and we must be making up stories," Sophia added. "So I told him our father exists, but didn't want us." Alexandria felt her heart tighten. "And then? Sebastian told him our father was stupid for not wanting us because we're smarter than all the other kids," Sophia continued. Then Jeffrey said he recognized us from his parents' charity events and that we look like the Blackwell family. Alexandria kept her expression neutral despite her internal alarm. What did you do then? Nothing, Sebastian said. But Jeffrey's dad is on the board of Blackwell Financial. He called his father, and now the headmaster wants to talk to you. Inside the office, Headmaster Williams looked uncomfortable. Ms. Morales, I apologize for calling you in. Children sometimes say thoughtless things. What exactly is the issue, Headmaster? Well, Harold Wilson, Jeffrey's father, was quite upset about the twins' claims regarding the Blackwell family. He's concerned about potential reputation damage. Alexandria's voice cooled. My children's parentage is private. If Harold Wilson has concerns, he can address them with me directly instead of intimidating 6-year-olds. Of course. The headmaster backpedaled. I just wanted to inform you of the situation. The situation, Alexandria said firmly, is that my children were bullied about their family structure, and instead of addressing that, you're concerned about the feelings of a board member at Blackwell Financial. Ms. Morales, my children will return to class now, and I expect this matter to be handled appropriately. Alexandria stood. Phillips Academy receives substantial funding from the Morales Educational Foundation. I would hate to reconsider our support. That evening, Alexandria and the twins attended the Children's Hospital benefit at the Four Seasons Hotel. After their performance in the youth orchestra, Sebastian on violin, Sophia on piano, many guests approached to compliment the children. They're exceptional, said Eleanor Prescott, a prominent Boston socialite. Such distinctive features, too. Those eyes are quite remarkable. Alexandria had heard similar comments increasingly often. The twins' Blackwell heritage was becoming impossible to ignore. Their emerald green eyes, high cheekbones, and distinctive profile matched generations of Blackwell family portraits. As she guided her children through the crowd, Alexandria noticed a newspaper left on a table. The headline caught her attention. Blackwell Financial faces ethics investigation after client fund mismanagement. Mama, can we have cake? Sophia asked, tugging at Alexandria's hand. In a moment, sweetheart. Alexandria picked up the paper, scanning the article. Jonathan's company had allegedly mishandled client investments, resulting in millions in losses. The scandal was the third to hit Blackwell Financial in 18 months. Ms. Morales, a voice interrupted her reading. Your children were magnificent tonight. Alexandria turned to see Catherine Pierce Blackwell, Jonathan's wife, standing before her. Despite herself, Alexandria felt a surge of tension. Thank you, Mrs. Blackwell. They practice very hard. Catherine's eyes lingered on the twins' faces. They're remarkably talented and quite striking in appearance. Alexandria maintained her composure. Yes, they take after my side of the family. Catherine's smile tightened slightly. How interesting. Well, congratulations on your Forbes cover. Jonathan and I were just discussing it. Was he? How nice. Alexandria glanced past Catherine to where Jonathan stood across the room, watching them with an unreadable expression. If you'll excuse us, my children are waiting for cake. As Alexandria guided the twins toward the dessert table, she felt Jonathan's eyes following them. For the first time in years, their paths were about to intersect directly. The Boston Symphony Orchestra Charity Gala, the most prestigious social event of the year, was just 2 weeks away. Alexandria knew Jonathan would be there, desperately networking to save his struggling company. What he didn't know was that Alexandria would be receiving the Philanthropist of the Year award that evening, or that she now controlled significant portions of his business empire through her carefully orchestrated acquisitions. The twins finished their cake, chocolate frosting smudged on their faces that bore the unmistakable stamp of Blackwell heritage for anyone who cared to look closely enough. Ready to go home? Alexandria asked them. Yes, Mama, they answered in unison, taking her hands. As they walked toward the exit, Alexandria caught Jonathan's gaze one final time. The look of dawning recognition in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. The board was set. The pieces were in motion. The 2 weeks before the Boston Symphony Orchestra Charity Gala passed quickly. Alexandria's schedule filled with preparations, finalizing her acceptance speech, approving the twins' formal attire, and managing Ascendant's newest acquisition. In her Beacon Hill brownstone, Alexandria stood in her home office practicing her speech while her assistant, Rebecca, arranged sample jewelry pieces on a velvet tray. "The emeralds would match your eyes," Rebecca suggested, holding up a pair of earrings. Alexandria shook her head. "The diamonds, more understated." "Your speech is perfect," Rebecca said, watching Alexandria review her notes, "especially the part about rejection becoming the foundation of your success." "Is it too obvious?" Alexandria asked. "Only to those who know the story." Alexandria nodded, satisfied. The Philanthropist of the Year award recognized her creation of the Morales Foundation, which funded educational opportunities for single mothers. Few knew it was inspired by her own struggle. Upstairs, the twins practiced their music for the youth orchestra performance that would open the gala. Sebastian's violin and Sophia's piano created a beautiful harmony that filtered through the house. Alexandria's phone rang, Diana calling. "The news about Jonathan Blackwell just broke," Diana said without greeting. "His company lost the Peterson account. It's all over the financial websites." Alexandria moved to her laptop. Peterson Investments was their largest client. "Blackwell Financial is in serious trouble," Diana continued. "Sources say Jonathan is hoping to secure new investors at the gala." "He won't find many," Alexandria replied. "Not after 3 scandals in 2 years. Are you ready for Saturday? Everyone who matters in Boston will be there." Alexandria glanced at her speech on the desk. "I've been ready for 7 years." Across Boston, in his Millennium Tower penthouse, Jonathan Blackwell paced his office while his assistant Michael tracked his movement with nervous eyes. "Peterson leaving is temporary," Jonathan insisted, loosening his tie. "Once we show strength at the gala, they'll reconsider." "Yes, sir," Michael agreed without conviction. "I've prepared your talking points for potential investors. The message emphasizes Blackwell Financial's 200-year history and stability." Jonathan stopped pacing. "Who's confirmed for my private table?" Michael consulted his tablet. "The Whitmores, the Sullivans, and the Changs. The Prestons canceled this morning." "Canceled?" Jonathan's voice rose. "They've attended our table for 15 years. They've, accepted an invitation to sit at Alexandria Morales' table instead." Jonathan's jaw tightened. "Of course they have. Everyone wants to be near the Philanthropist of the Year." "Speaking of Ms. Morales," Michael said carefully, "there's been some discussion in financial circles about her children's resemblance to—" "That's enough," Jonathan snapped. "Focus on the investors we need to target Saturday night." Later that evening, Alexandria helped the twins practice their formal entrances for the gala. Sebastian wore a miniature tuxedo, while Sophia twirled in her emerald green dress. "Remember," Alexandria instructed, "when you finish your performance, you'll join me at our table." "Will there be other children?" Sophia asked, adjusting her dress. "A few, but mostly adults. Important people who support the symphony." Sebastian straightened his bow tie. "Will Father be there?" Alexandria froze. The twins had never called Jonathan father before. "Why do you ask that?" "Jeffrey Wilson said his parents are going and his father works for Blackwell Financial," Sebastian explained. "Yes, he might be there," Alexandria acknowledged. "Does that bother you?" The twins exchanged one of their silent communications. Sophia spoke first. "We're curious. We've seen his picture in the business magazines." "And in the newspaper when his company got in trouble," Sebastian added. Alexandria knelt to their level. "If he's there, and if he approaches us, you don't have to speak to him if you don't want to." "We want to," Sophia said with surprising firmness. "We've discussed it." "You've discussed it?" Alexandria raised an eyebrow. "We have questions," Sebastian explained simply. Alexandria felt a mixture of pride and concern. At 6 years old, her children possessed emotional maturity that still surprised her. What kind of questions? "We want to know if he regrets his decision," Sophia said. "And if he recognizes that it was financially unwise," Sebastian added. Alexandria suppressed a smile. "I see. Well, let's focus on your performance first. The conversation may not happen at all." On Friday afternoon, Alexandria received an unexpected call from Catherine Pierce Blackwell. "Ms. Morales, I hope I'm not interrupting." Alexandria signaled her assistant to close her office door. "How can I help you, Mrs. Blackwell?" "I'm calling about tomorrow night," Catherine said, her voice carefully controlled. "I understand you'll be receiving the Philanthropist Award." "That's correct. I serve on the Symphony Board, as you know. I wanted to prepare you. Jonathan will be seated near the stage, very close to where you'll give your speech." Alexandria's grip tightened on her phone. "Is there a point to this call, Mrs. Blackwell?" A pause. "Things are difficult for Blackwell Financial right now. Jonathan is under tremendous pressure. I'm aware of your company's challenges. What I'm trying to say," Catherine continued, "is that certain rumors have reached Jonathan about your children. Their resemblance to the Blackwell family has become a topic of conversation in our circles." "My children's appearance is hardly a business matter," Alexandria replied coldly. "Perhaps not, but Jonathan is concerned about potential implications. If your husband has concerns, he's had 6 years to address them," Alexandria said. "I don't need preparation for tomorrow night, Mrs. Blackwell, but thank you for the courtesy call." After hanging up, Alexandria sat motionless at her desk. Catherine's call confirmed what she already suspected. Jonathan had finally recognized the twins as his own. On Saturday morning, final preparations for the gala consumed both households. In Alexandria's brownstone, hairstylists and makeup artists helped prepare her and the twins. At Jonathan's penthouse, his new public relations consultant reviewed emergency responses for potential investor questions about the company's stability. By late afternoon, Alexandria stood in her bedroom studying her reflection in the full-length mirror. The midnight blue Balenciaga gown had been custom-made for this night. Elegant, powerful, unforgettable. The twins appeared in her doorway, already dressed for their performance. "You look beautiful, Mama," Sophia said. "Like a queen," Sebastian added. Alexandria smiled at them. "And you both look perfect." As twilight descended over Boston, 3 vehicles prepared to depart for Symphony Hall. Alexandria's Rolls-Royce idled outside her Beacon Hill home. The twins settled in the back seat with their instruments. Jonathan's Bentley waited at the entrance of Millennium Tower, his face grim as he checked his talking points one final time. And at the Four Seasons Hotel, Catherine Pierce Blackwell entered a separate car, having decided to arrive independently after a tense argument with her husband. None knew exactly how the evening would unfold, but all felt the weight of its significance as their vehicles moved through Boston's streets toward the inevitable collision at the city's most prestigious social event. Symphony Hall glowed against the darkening Boston sky, its grand exterior illuminated for the annual charity gala. Limousines and luxury cars formed a steady line along Massachusetts Avenue as Boston's elite arrived in their finest attire. Photographers lined the entrance, capturing each notable arrival. Alexandria's Rolls-Royce pulled up precisely at 7 o'clock. As the driver opened the door, camera flashes intensified. She emerged in her midnight blue Balenciaga gown, helping the twins out after her. Sebastian and Sophia stood perfectly poised in their formal wear, holding their instrument cases. "Ms. Morales, look this way," called several photographers. Alexandria smiled briefly for the cameras before guiding her children inside. The twins were scheduled to perform in 20 minutes with the youth orchestra. Inside the grand foyer with its arched ceilings and marble columns, waiters circulated with champagne. Alexandria accepted a glass while greeting the symphony's board president. "Alexandria, we're so honored to present you with the award tonight," said Eleanor Whitmore, the board president. "Your foundation's work has been extraordinary." "Thank you, Eleanor. The children need to prepare for their performance. Could you direct us to the musicians' area?" As they moved through the crowd, Alexandria felt eyes following them. The twins had become minor celebrities in Boston society, their remarkable talents and striking appearance drawing attention wherever they went. 15 minutes later, Jonathan's Bentley arrived. He straightened his bow tie before stepping out, forcing a confident smile for the photographers. Inside, he immediately reached for a glass of champagne, scanning the crowd for potential investors. "Jonathan," called Harold Wilson, approaching with a strained smile. "Good to see you. Challenging times at Blackwell Financial, I hear." "Temporary setbacks, Harold. We're already in discussions with new major clients." Jonathan took a long sip of champagne. "How's Jeffrey doing at Phillips Academy?" Harold's expression shifted. "Well enough, he's in the same class as the Morales twins. Remarkable children. Quite distinctive looking." Jonathan stiffened. "I should greet the other board members. Excuse me." As he made his way through the crowded foyer, the orchestra bells chimed, signaling guests to take their seats for the opening performance. Jonathan entered the main hall, finding his place near the front, prime seating arranged before his company's troubles began. The hall hushed as the youth orchestra took their positions. Jonathan scanned the program, freezing when he saw the names. Piano solo, Sofia Morales, age 6, and first violin, Sebastian Morales, age 6. The children walked onto the stage. Sebastian carried a violin that seemed too large for his small frame, yet he held it with confidence. Sofia sat at the grand piano, adjusting the bench. As the spotlights hit them, their features became unmistakable. Jonathan's champagne glass nearly slipped from his fingers. The children bore his family's distinctive emerald eyes, the same shade that had marked Blackwell's for generations. Their high cheekbones and aquiline noses might have come from a Blackwell family portrait. There was no denying what he saw. The orchestra began playing Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Sebastian's violin solo was flawless, his small fingers moving with precision no 6-year-old should possess. When Sofia joined with her piano accompaniment, the audience sat transfixed. Jonathan barely heard the music. His mind raced with calculations. Alexandria's pregnancy, the children's age, their unmistakable Blackwell features. The truth he had suspected but ignored now performed brilliantly before Boston's most influential citizens. After the performance, thunderous applause filled the hall. The twins bowed formally before exiting the stage. Jonathan watched them go, his heart pounding. During intermission, he stood in the grand foyer, barely listening to a potential investor's questions about Blackwell Financial's future prospects. His eyes continually searched the crowd until he saw her. Alexandria entering from a side door, the twins now beside her. She looked nothing like the young woman he had dismissed from his penthouse 7 years ago. This Alexandria commanded attention, her posture regal, her confidence undeniable. The Forbes cover had not exaggerated her transformation. As if sensing his gaze, Alexandria turned. Their eyes met across the crowded room. She showed no surprise, no anger, only a slight, knowing smile that affected Jonathan more than any confrontation could have. She nodded once in acknowledgement before turning her attention back to the Boston mayor who was speaking to her. "Jonathan, did you hear my question?" The investor beside him sounded annoyed. "I apologize. Would you excuse me for a moment?" Jonathan moved through the crowd toward Alexandria, but was intercepted by Catherine. "Don't make a scene," she hissed, gripping his arm. "Everyone who matters in Boston is watching. Those children are not a topic for public discussion." Catherine cut him off. "We agreed on this yesterday." "You knew? For how long?" "I suspected when I saw them at the Children's Hospital benefit." "The Blackwell eyes are rather distinctive, wouldn't you say?" Catherine's smile remained fixed for onlookers. "The gala is not the place for this conversation." Before Jonathan could respond, the bells chimed again. Catherine guided him back to their seats, her grip on his arm unnecessarily tight. The symphony's board president took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, before the symphony performs, we have the honor of presenting our Philanthropist of the Year award. Through the Morales Foundation, this year's recipient has funded educational scholarships for over 500 single mothers, established 3 technology centers in underserved communities, and created a groundbreaking mentorship program for young entrepreneurs. Please welcome to the stage Ms. Alexandria Morales." The applause was deafening as Alexandria walked to the podium. She stood for a moment, waiting for silence before speaking. "Thank you for this honor. 7 years ago, I found myself alone, pregnant, and without resources. Today, I stand before you as proof that circumstances need not define destiny." Jonathan felt each word like a physical blow, knowing they were meant for him. The Morales Foundation believes that rejection can become the foundation of empire, that obstacles can create opportunities, and that men who mistake cruelty for power often find themselves powerless in the end. Whispers rippled through the audience. Many knew pieces of Alexandria's story, and more had noticed the twins' resemblance to the Blackwell lineage. Jonathan sat rigid in his seat, aware of sideways glances from those nearby. "To my children, Sophia and Sebastian, who show me daily what true brilliance and grace look like, thank you for being my greatest motivation." Alexandria continued her speech, outlining the foundation's accomplishments and future goals, but Jonathan heard little of it. He was acutely aware of the twins seated at Alexandria's table, their profiles a haunting mirror of his own childhood photographs. As Alexandria returned to her seat amid standing applause, Jonathan felt his carefully constructed world shifting beneath him. Across the hall, investors and clients who had once eagerly sought connection with Blackwell Financial now surrounded Alexandria's table, drawn to her rising star as his own dimmed. The symphony began to play, but Jonathan heard nothing. His eyes remained fixed on the 2 small figures seated beside the woman he had once dismissed as an entertaining chapter in his life, a chapter that had somehow become the most significant story in the room. The symphony performance concluded, but the music was quickly replaced by whispers. As the audience rose for intermission, Jonathan noticed how conversations halted when he passed by, only to resume more urgently after he moved away. "Did you hear what she said about rejection becoming the foundation of empire? Those children are clearly Blackwell's. Look at those eyes. I heard Ascendant Media has been quietly buying Blackwell subsidiaries." Jonathan loosened his bow tie slightly, feeling uncomfortably warm despite the hall's perfect temperature. He made his way to the bar, desperate for another drink. "Mr. Blackwell," called a voice behind him. "David Winters from Financial Times. Could I get a quick comment about your company's recent challenges?" Jonathan forced a smile. "Blackwell Financial is as strong as it's been for 200 years. The Peterson account situation is temporary." "What about rumors that Ascendant Media Group has acquired controlling interests in several of your subsidiary companies through shell corporations?" Jonathan's glass stopped halfway to his lips. "What are you talking about?" "Our sources indicate that over the past 3 years, companies linked to Alexandria Morales have systematically purchased majority stakes in at least 5 Blackwell-connected businesses." "That's absolutely false," Jonathan snapped, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "I would know if our subsidiaries changed ownership." "Not if the acquisitions were made through separate holding companies," the journalist pressed. "Would you care to comment on Ms. Morales' speech tonight? Many interpreted her references to men who mistake cruelty for power as directed at you personally." Jonathan set down his glass. "This conversation is over." He walked away, scanning the crowd for friendly faces. He spotted Edward Harrison, a long-standing member of Blackwell Financial's board. "Edward," Jonathan called, approaching with an outstretched hand. "I was hoping to discuss the new European investment strategy." Edward glanced at Jonathan's hand before taking it briefly. "Jonathan, interesting evening?" "Indeed. Perhaps we could meet Monday to review the Peterson situation." Edward looked uncomfortable. "Actually, I'm traveling next week. Perhaps we should schedule when things settle down a bit." "Settle down?" Edward lowered his voice. "Jonathan, there's talk about Ascendant Media's acquisitions. The board has questions about how this happened without our knowledge. And now these children—" He glanced toward Alexandria's table. "The resemblance is rather striking, isn't it?" "I don't know what you're implying," Jonathan said stiffly. "I'm not implying anything, but others are doing more than implying." Edward checked his watch. "Excuse me, I promised to join the Prestons." Jonathan watched in disbelief as Edward walked directly to Alexandria's table, where he was warmly welcomed. Two other Blackwell Financial Board members were already seated nearby, engaged in animated conversation with Alexandria's business associates. Thomas Chen, a financial reporter from Bloomberg, approached next with a digital recorder. "Mr. Blackwell, our analysis shows that Blackwell Financial has lost 28% of its market value this year alone. How do you respond to investor concerns?" Market fluctuations are normal," Jonathan replied mechanically. "Blackwell Financial has weathered many financial storms over 2 centuries, but this decline coincides with Ascendant Media's rise. Some analysts suggest there's a direct correlation between Ms. Morales' strategic acquisitions and your company's struggles." Jonathan felt his control slipping. "I have no further comment." As he retreated toward a quieter corner, he heard his name mentioned at a nearby table. Blackwell completely dismissed her when she was pregnant. A woman whispered to her companion, "Now she controls half his business assets through those clever acquisitions." "Those children must be his," her companion replied. The Blackwell eyes are unmistakable. 7 years ago, he offered her money to eliminate the inconvenience. Now she's worth billions and he's scrambling to keep his company afloat. Jonathan froze. How did they know about that private conversation? Had Alexandria shared that humiliating detail with others? Across the room, Alexandria stood surrounded by admirers. Mayor Richardson was introducing her to the governor. The twins stayed close to their mother, perfectly behaved but clearly observing everything with intelligent eyes. His eyes. Jonathan felt a tap on his shoulder. Harold Wilson again, this time with Jeffrey beside him. "Jonathan, my son wanted to meet you. He's quite interested in finance." The boy looked up at Jonathan with undisguised curiosity. "Are Sophia and Sebastian Morales your children? They look exactly like you and they told everyone at school their father didn't want them." "Jeffrey," Harold scolded, looking mortified. "It's okay," the boy insisted. "Sophia said their mother told them the truth because lies are inefficient." Jonathan stared at the child, unable to form a response. "We should find our seats," Harold said quickly, pulling his son away. "The second half will begin soon." But the worst moment came 10 minutes later, when Jonathan spotted his wife Catherine approaching Alexandria's table. He moved closer, trying to appear casual as he strained to hear their conversation. "Ms. Morales," Catherine said warmly, "your speech was deeply moving. The Morales Foundation's work is extraordinary." "Thank you, Mrs. Blackwell," Alexandria replied. "We're very proud of our impact." "I've been following Ascendant Media's growth with great interest," Catherine continued. "My family's investment firm is looking for new opportunities, especially in digital marketing." Jonathan couldn't believe what he was hearing. Catherine's family firm had been exclusive investors in Blackwell Financial for generations. "Perhaps we could meet next week," Catherine suggested. "I have some specific proposals in mind." "My office will contact yours," Alexandria agreed with a polite smile. Jonathan stepped forward without thinking. "Catherine, what are you doing?" His wife turned slowly, her smile fading. Networking, Jonathan. Something you might try instead of hiding by the bar. With Alexandria Morales? After her speech practically accused me of what, exactly? Catherine interrupted coldly. She mentioned no names. Unless you have reason to take her comments personally? Jonathan became aware of people watching their exchange with undisguised interest. This isn't the place, he muttered. I agree, Catherine replied. In fact, I've been saying that all evening. She turned back to Alexandria. I apologize for the interruption. My assistant will call yours tomorrow. As Catherine walked away, Alexandria's eyes met Jonathan's directly for the second time that evening. There was no triumph in her gaze, no gloating, only a calm assessment that somehow made him feel completely transparent. The bells chimed, signaling the second half of the program. Jonathan returned to his seat, acutely conscious of the empty chair beside him where Catherine should have been. She had relocated to sit with her parents. Throughout the remainder of the concert, Jonathan felt increasingly isolated. The whispers continued. Phones discreetly checked showed financial news alerts about Blackwell Financial. His carefully constructed world was crumbling publicly, spectacularly. When the performance ended, Jonathan made his way to the exit, avoiding eye contact. But as the crowd moved toward the Fairmont Copley Plaza for the post-concert reception, he made a sudden decision. Instead of escaping, he would confront the situation directly. He would speak to the children, his children. Perhaps there was still a way to salvage something from this disaster. After all, they were Blackwells, regardless of their name. They were his legacy, even if Alexandria had shaped them. With renewed determination, Jonathan changed direction and headed toward the hotel reception. He would find them, speak to them, establish some connection. They couldn't be entirely against him. They were only 6 years old. The grand ballroom of the Fairmont was already filling with guests as Jonathan entered, scanning the crowd for 2 small figures in formal wear. Jonathan moved through the Fairmont Copley Plaza's grand ballroom, nodding mechanically to acquaintances while searching for the twins. The post-concert reception was in full swing, with waiters circulating champagne and hors d'oeuvres among Boston's elite. He spotted them near a table of desserts. Sebastian and Sophia stood perfectly poised in their formal wear, quietly discussing something between themselves. Alexandria was engaged in conversation with the governor several feet away, keeping the children in her peripheral vision. This was his chance. Jonathan straightened his jacket and approached the twins, forcing a warm smile onto his face. "Hello there," he said, his voice overly bright. "You both played beautifully tonight." The twins looked up at him with identical green eyes. His eyes. They showed neither surprise nor excitement at his approach. "Thank you," Sebastian replied formally. "Your Mozart interpretation was excellent," Jonathan continued, desperate to establish connection. "I played violin myself as a child." "Yes, we know," Sophia said. "Our mother has told us about you." Jonathan's smile faltered. "Has she?" "Well, I hope she mentioned that musical talent runs in the Blackwell family. My grandfather was a renowned cellist." The twins exchanged a glance that seemed to contain an entire conversation. "We are aware of our genetic inheritance," Sebastian stated matter-of-factly. "Our musical abilities likely combine maternal and paternal predispositions." Jonathan blinked, taken aback by the clinical response from a 6-year-old. Yes, exactly. You're both exceptionally bright. Our IQ tests indicate scores above 150, Sophia informed him without pride or modesty. Sebastian's linguistic capabilities test in the top 0.1% nationally. My mathematical assessments show similar results. Jonathan felt increasingly off balance. He had expected normal children, perhaps shy or even angry, but still children. These poised, articulate miniature adults unnerved him. "Listen," he tried again, lowering his voice. "I realize we've never properly met. That's unfortunate. Perhaps we could arrange some time to get to know each other." "Why?" Sebastian asked bluntly. "Well, because I'm your Jonathan glanced around, lowering his voice further. "I'm your father." "You're our biological progenitor," Sebastian corrected. "That's a matter of genetics, not relationship." "Our mother explained the difference," Sophia added. "A father participates in child rearing. You chose not to accept that role." Jonathan felt heat rising in his face. It was a complicated situation. I had family obligations, business responsibilities. "Our mother had those too," Sebastian interrupted. "She fulfilled hers." Jonathan glanced toward Alexandria, who was still engaged with the governor but now watching their interaction closely. "People make mistakes," Jonathan said desperately. "I made a mistake, but now, seeing you both, I realize what I've missed." "You mean now that we're successful?" Sophia asked, with penetrating directness. "Now that people talk about us? Now that our mother runs a multi-billion-dollar company?" Jonathan was speechless. These children saw through him completely. Sebastian stepped slightly forward, his posture straight and confident. "Our mother taught us to recognize value. People who abandon their responsibilities have none." "I didn't abandon," Jonathan began. "You told our mother we were an inconvenience to your legacy," Sophia interrupted. "Statistically speaking, your rejection was the most significant miscalculation of your financial career." Jonathan felt each word like a physical blow. He hadn't expected to be judged so harshly and accurately by 6-year-olds, his 6-year-olds. "You don't understand the pressures I was under," he tried again. "My family name, the expectations—" "We understand perfectly," Sebastian said calmly. "You prioritized your name over your children. We prioritize character over names." Alexandria approached, placing a protective hand on each child's shoulder. "Is everything all right here?" "Yes, Mama," the twins answered in unison. "We were just explaining value assessment to Mr. Blackwell," Sophia added. Alexandria's lips twitched slightly. "I see. It's getting late, we should go." "Of course," Sebastian agreed. "We have our coding class tomorrow morning." Jonathan watched in disbelief as they prepared to leave without another word to him. He reached out, grabbing Alexandria's arm as she turned away. "Alexandria, wait! You've made your point." She looked pointedly at his hand until he released her. "My point?" she asked quietly. "This public humiliation, the acquisitions of my subsidiaries, turning my own wife against me. What will it take to end this?" Alexandria's expression showed neither anger nor triumph, only mild surprise. "This was never about you, Jonathan," she said simply. "It was always about building something magnificent for my children. But the timing of tonight, your speech, was about celebrating the Foundation's work," she finished for him. "Your presence here was irrelevant to my plans." Jonathan realized with sudden clarity that Alexandria had moved beyond revenge years ago. She had built her empire not to destroy his, but because she had the vision and ability to do so. His downfall was merely a side effect of her success. "The children need a father," he said, making one final attempt. "They needed a father 6 years ago," Alexandria replied calmly. "Now, they need what they already have: stability, opportunity, and unconditional love." She turned to the twins. "Ready to go home?" They nodded, taking her hands. Sebastian looked back at Jonathan one last time. "Goodbye, Mr. Blackwell," he said with formal politeness. As they walked away, Jonathan stood frozen, watching the 3 figures move through the crowd. People parted for them, nodding respectfully to Alexandria, smiling at the remarkable children. No one spared Jonathan a second glance. Outside, their Tesla waited at the curb. The children climbed in while Alexandria exchanged a few words with the driver. Before entering the car, she paused, looking back at Boston's illuminated skyline. The same city that had witnessed her lowest moment now stood as the backdrop to her greatest triumph. Inside the car, Alexandria embraced her children, their reflection in the window superimposed over the city lights. "Did you mean what you said to him, Mama?" Sophia asked. "That it was never about him?" Alexandria smoothed her daughter's hair, Success isn't about defeating others, sweetheart. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Are you sad he didn't want us? Sebastian asked quietly. Alexandria pulled her children closer. Number. His mistake gave me the two greatest gifts of my life. I wouldn't change a thing. As their car glided through Boston streets toward home, Alexandria felt no need to look back at Jonathan's diminishing figure in the hotel entrance. The future lay ahead, bright with promise, not because of what she had taken from him, but because of what she had built herself. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.